Like, I'm having one of those moments where I'm just like, why did I decide to do this? Like, words can't even describe how angry I am right now. Like, honest to God. So basically, I was on YouTube the other day and I was watching this video, and he's talking about, like, he's the man I was watching, and it was Gays of the Week, and it was Miles J. talking about the Glee fan fiction he's reading. So I clicked on the one he's reading, but didn't seem interesting, so I picked a random one just there a second ago. And this one is called Save Me, and like, it is the most unrealistic piece of, oh, like I was reading it, okay, and basically it's a curtain laying foundation because they're so friggin' cute in the TV shows. I was like, oh, this would be so exciting. Like, I'll read this. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for Glee to come back. So I'm reading this bleeding like fan fiction, great. And it's based about like Blaine, who's like a doctor now, which is cool. I'm like, I'm wrong with it, reading it. He's probably like the world's most unprofessional doctor. So like, basically, apparently he's forgotten everyone from the Glee cast because like that's what friggin' happens when you become a doctor. Like, how just forget? Well, like he was like going out with Kurt in the TV show. Like, how could he forget this? It was just so unrealistic. And then like, Kurt was like in the hospital bed after they were remembering each other, and like he's like, "Oh, I'll go get you a coffee." And then they run into his friends. Actually, no, I'll bring you back to the room and I'll bring a coffee to you. Like, doctors do not friggin' bring in friggin' like car accident patients and then friggin' start like bringing them coffee. Like, he didn't do any tests on him. He's like, "Oh, alright," and just like rub some friggin' gel and put a bandage on his two burnt arms, and then brought him a coffee. And now everyone is phoning around being all like, oh my god, how do we remember this random stranger Blaine? Even though like you're all friggin' best friends with him. And then like friggin' like what else is going on? Like Artie and like Quinn, they're getting married now. Like Quinn's like choir teacher. Like they haven't seen each other in ages, but apparently they're all just living in the same friggin' state still, so none of them have actually gone anywhere. Like this random friggin' hospital, and like they live in a small friggin' town, like, and it's just like this amazing hospital where they can all suddenly like come back and just see everyone and be like, oh my god, yeah. It's just like, what the fuck? I can't even talk. Like, ugh, it angers me to a level that I can't even comprehend. Like, I'm gonna read the rest of this and I'm gonna finish this video, okay? Because like, I just like, ugh, anger like through the roof. Like, swear to God. Sweet God, like it just got worse. Like, so now all of a sudden he's like remembering his two best friends, but he doesn't know their second names because in the show they don't have second names. So naturally, this fan fiction person would know their second names. But like, think about it. Like, I can remember like people's second names. Like, just because you're a freaking qualified college doctor does not friggin' mean you suddenly forget people's friggin' names. Like, they're meant to be your friggin' best friends. Like, oh, and also like before we move on with this, in the last friggin' chapter, like he handed him coffee and then told him to sleep. Who does that? How would giving someone a friggin' coffee make them go to sleep? Like, we just friggin' bore them to sleep, but how you can't even remember someone's friggin' name? Like, Jesus. Oh! Okay, so now in this same friggin' stupid ass chapter where he couldn't remember his friends' friggin' names, all of a sudden, he shows up in the hospital again, like whatever, he drove there, it's cool. With two more friggin' coffees for him and Kurt to sit there and sip on. And then this nurse who came in to check if Kurt was okay dropped something on his lap and he read it and it was her number and he stops her and goes, "Hey honey, I bat for the other team." Talk about medical misconduct. Like that doesn't happen. Like nurses do not freaking throw themselves at doctors while they are fucking tending to patients. It is like that is just ridiculous. Like that is medical misconduct. That is all that is. Like that is blatantly medical misconduct. Like there is no other words for that stuff. Like it is oh. Now I'm gonna read you the little snippet at the end of this chapter that I just don't agree with. So let's go. Let's just start this. Right. Blaine and Kurt then began a conversation about how girls would fall for them and they'd end up rejecting them, telling them that they played for the other team. They even discussed how far some went. Blaine won that with a story about a woman who caused herself to get sick just to get his attention. But the fun ended too soon as Blaine was paged. They said their goodbyes and Blaine promised to come back to check on him later. Why does everything feel so right when I'm with him? He asked himself as he left the room. Suddenly he was tackled by two strangely familiar faces. So basically, okay, Kurt had no one to relate to, even though he was in a relationship with some lad Jason for 2 years, yeah. And then Jason died, which was tragic. Kurt doesn't even seem to care because he's too busy drooling over this doctor lad that apparently he can't remember who he is, even though they were like high school sweethearts. Like everyone always remembers people who they were in high school. Like it's a friggin' common fact. Then, boom, Blaine is attacked by strangely familiar faces. Well, you asked your two friends, Wes and David, or Chris, or whatever his stupid name was, to come and visit you, and it's just like, oh, what are you doing? Like, this is a ridiculous fanfiction, and I'm just now going to subscribe to it just so I can continue reading how ridiculous it is. Like, oh, I can't. Oh. Long story, friggin' short, that was ridiculous. That is all. Deuces. Meh.